Hello, hi, and welcome back. So, I'm filming this at a rather interesting time of the day, the in the quiet of the late night. But I decided to film it because I just had a pretty big realization. Now, I probably need to give you a bit of a context. I don't know how much you are aware, but a lot of the way we behave, I don't know if a lot is correct, almost all of the way we behave and think about things is because of the way we have been brought up and the beliefs that have been instilled within us by family, society, norms, all of that stuff. And I may be saying something that's absolutely obvious, but bear with me, because even though we feel many times that we know something obvious, we don't see the full chain of events and where that leads. Now, somebody does, so you as you grow in your life, you realize that maybe you wanted to be that rock star, right? Or maybe you wanted to go into this field, but there's something blocking you and you just can't put your finger on it. Every time you try, it just doesn't work. Why is that? There could be many reasons, but I'll tell you something. It's very likely that the programming you got as a child and later in life, but mainly as a child, is not aligned to who you really are and who you want to be more precise as well. Who do you want to be, right? There's a passion that you have, but you've never pursued it. You took that 9 to 5 because it pays the bills. In order to live and do the 9 to 5 again, so it's like you will go into this useless, well, not useless, but rather stupid cycle where you just live your life because you live your life. A lot of people do that. A lot of people, even the people who believe that they like their job, trust me, because they convince themselves that they do, even though maybe they're not so aligned with it. But leaving that aside, I'm getting carried away because this is like, I feel quite strongly about this because this is big. This is core to many things of why people aren't aligned to who they want to be, okay, to the values that they feel is inside of them. It's because they were programmed differently. You see, you can see your mind as a computer because that is what it is. 333. Your mind is a computer. Now guess what? Any computer runs a program. You don't need to be in IT, okay? You put a program in. This is what you do. 1 + 1 = 2. We function in the same way. This body-mind complex here functions in the same way. Now, did you put that program in? No, you didn't. Because you were born and you were useless and somebody raised you according to the programming they got. I'm not saying you should be blaming your parents or someone else, because they did the best they could with the information they had. This is not a blame game. This is the let's get real game. Let's get real. Where are we in our lives? And why can't we do the things that we feel we are called to do? I'll tell you a realization that I've had. Some things I wasn't doing because I was told when I was very young that wasn't something good to do in the world. That wasn't something worthwhile to do in the world. I remember seeing this joke. There's a lady, British stand-up comedian, and she was from Nigeria, and she was saying that in Nigeria you're either an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer. Those are the three professions that are accepted. Everything else, your parents won't look at you seriously, you know. And she became a stand-up comedian and a woman, yeah. So, and she wasn't respected for it because obviously she wasn't an engineer, lawyer, or doctor. And this is connected because most of us received the programming, de facto programming that was at the time in our societies. You know, our families only reflected the wider programming. So, you see, we're little robots. We're these little robots that have been pre-programmed, and we think we are ourselves. I'm here to tell you we are probably not, okay? If you're honest with yourself, look at your programming. Test your beliefs. Test them. There are ways to test. Yeah, ask yourself, do I believe this is a worthwhile thing to do? And if I don't, then why don't I? Because it is a worthwhile thing to do. With my current mature adult brain, I consider it to be a worthwhile thing to do. So, why isn't it? It's because you were programmed. Because that's what we are. We're just little programs. Our mind is, our subconscious is. And it all goes in your subconscious, and you're not even conscious of it. I know it's deep. It's like really deep. Maybe not for everyone, yeah. But unless you've been in psychology, I haven't. But I've always read everything I could get my hands on. So, you know, I have these notions. So unless you looked at stuff like inner child, okay, the child inside of you, parts of you. Every time you had traumatic events in your life, there was little parts broken off you that stay with that trauma energy. All of this stuff matters massively because when you try to grow, you know, when you try to be the best version of yourself, you have got to look back at those parts, bring them back in, hug them, understand what happened, and make peace with it. That will bring you into a whole being. And it will take a while because you'll find that if you lived a bit on this earth, if your shadow was cast on this earth for a long time, you have a lot of those parts. Now, in the same way, you can check your beliefs. You know, there's people who have a fear of heights. There's people who have different limiting beliefs. You know, they want to do something, but they're afraid. They don't believe in themselves. Why? Because they were told they're not enough. They were taught they are not enough. They were taught that they need to prove themselves to society by achieving and doing, because otherwise they're not worthy. How many of you have that? Do you realize what I'm trying to say here? This is critical. If we want to rise up, if we want to be the best version of ourselves, we have to look at this programming, people. This programming is ruining our lives. There's no softer way to put it, because I would use some expletives right now, okay? This is big. Big, big, big. Yeah. I'm gonna do more videos on it. I'm probably gonna do some kind of dedicated stuff just to show people how to test themselves for this, test their beliefs. If they're not what they believe, take some action. But the positive is, once you look at it and once you know of it, you can change. You can be that change in the world, and you can be that ideal version of yourself. It's all possible, and we can all do it together. I love you, and shine bright because you have a light.